time to the Powered by Together Forever Marriage Ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about domestic violence. We've been talking about spousal abuse. We've been talking about all kinds of things. People call it different kinds. Wife veteran, wife beating, any kind of name. With me today is my co-host. Are you permanent or temporary, honey?
Very permanent.
Very permanent. You're immovable.
I mean, like,
like a rock.
A rock, like a rock.
You're not moving here.
Solid.
And nobody will move you here.
Solid as a rock, yes.
So with me is my co-host. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes, viewers, welcome to another episode of Family Time Today. My name is May Victor.
And my name is Vic. Victor, talking about permanent. How long has it been that we knew ourselves? Honey, how many years?
I mean, it's been going on 30 years.
30 years. You're not going anywhere.
And that's why, I usually, when my mother-in-law was here, I usually tell her, I said, I know your son more than you. I know you give birth to him, but now I know him because I've been with him his older, matured years, and he's exhibiting things that his mother does not even know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting, but that is life.
That's together forever.
That's together forever.
Marriage. That's what is involved. And we've talked about the definition in part 1 or episode 1. We basically talked about what domestic violence is. We kind of talked about it. Today we're going to talk about how do I know that I'm being abused. It looks like some people would say, come on, what kind of question is that? How do I not know that I'm being abused? And I'll tell you how. A lot of people don't know that they are being abused because of several things. One is the cultural tolerance of abuse. 2 is the new definition of what abuse is. Most of us came from a background where there's a level of acceptance of abuse in the family, but that's no longer the issue. So we have a 4 cycle. There are 4 stages that domestic abuse go through. If you've experienced any of these 4 stages, you know that this is abuse. But if you've heard any of these sayings, you know, or that I should raise your antenna that this looks like domestic abuse. It smells like domestic abuse. It walks like domestic. It is domestic.
Must be.
It must be domestic abuse.
Exactly. And you would have to, you know what? This is interesting that we're saying this. You need to call it what it is. You see, that is one thing about the domestic abuse, You need to nail it. Like, this is it. You can't nurture it. You can't
excuse it.
Justify. You can't justify. You can't close your eyes to it, because again, what is our definition of domestic abuse? It's a pattern. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. It comes up. It comes up. It comes up, and we're gonna talk about the details of it. But if it looks like it, talks like it, quacks like it, that's what it is. And we need to call it the name. And that's why this thing is prevalent in our society today. Because like my husband said, my mom, how she trained me, raised me in Africa. We are trained, when you get married, you are married for good.
Dead or alive.
My mother told me, whatever is going on with you and your husband, you need to fix it. I don't want to know unless he's killing you. But if anything is good, so in other words, we were raised up with that submissive kind of message, nailed into us when we're growing up. And we keep submitting, whatever hand is dealt on us, we're accepting it. But now women have got to understand there is a difference between submission and abuse.
Oh yeah. a big difference. A big difference. And if you've had any of these things, these are usual lingos and excuses and justifications that people give. If you've had things like, he said it will never happen again, that's a red flag. Or he says he's really sorry. After he hit you, after he said bad stuff or did something wrong, or it is my fault, I made him angry. I really like that one. That's a more popular one. I made him angry. I made him mad.
If I
should be a better partner.
So it's like, if I hadn't said that, if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't thought that, if I hadn't treated him that way, maybe he wouldn't have done it. So you keep blaming yourself and owning up to the responsibility that it's your fault, you're the one that did it. So those are the kind of things you need to watch out.
Yeah, and some of it he puts in your mind. He makes you take blame for his, and she, not just he. And the next one is, he's just stressed right now. He's going through stuff right now. That's why he did what he did. His mother died. He lost his job. Things are happening at his work. His business is not going right. We make excuses for him. He's only controlling. That's my favorite. He's only controlling because he loves me. He controls me because he wants to keep me to himself. He can't afford to share me with others. He's concerned he might lose me. All those kind of nonsense. And quite frankly, there are cultural perspectives to it. I understand that in some cultures, it is normal for a husband to beat his wife. In fact, if your husband is not beating you, it means he doesn't love you in some cultures. And people come up with these things. So we go, as we said, there are 4 stages of domestic abuse. We'll go into that now so that you know you may be in stage 1, you may be in stage 2, you may be in stage 3 or stage 4. You may have gone through the whole cycle. Some people go through the cycle in 1 week. Some go through the cycle in 1 year. Some go through it over several years. First stage happens, it goes away. Second stage comes, it goes away. And all those things. So, honey, look at those stages.
But the point is that even if no matter how long it takes for the cycle to go through, you give it a while, the cycle continues, another one, it starts again.
Yes.
And it completes. And then it starts again.
Yes.
And it completes. And then it starts again. Some people
so
roll.
The pattern keeps rolling.
Yeah, so the pattern keeps rolling. And one of the things that you notice where abuse is present, the first stage is there is a tension build up. There's a tension build up, and the victim can become very fearful. There is a tension. Something is going on, like you said earlier. Business is not doing well.
Job is not going well.
Somebody lost their mom. Maybe the man lost his mom, or there's something that is going on in the home that is, call it a stressor. There's a stressor, which does not make any sense because life is full of stress. I mean, you get stressed out. We've run episodes before. People get stressed out because they have a new job.
They have a new job. They have new promotion.
A new business.
They are making bigger money.
So it's not just a good reason, but that's where it starts.
Yes.
It starts with a tension build up. Something not going, maybe somebody did something, or maybe somebody is sick, or there is a challenge that person is going through. You see? And that challenge builds up a tension inside. Stress. It builds up a stress. And unfortunately, many people don't know how to manage the stress. They let it build up. And then again, if you're a woman, you understand, we talk, and that's how we let off our own tension and stress. You see? We can talk, we can cry, That's our natural.
You can share.
Yeah, we can share. That's part of the talking.
The talking, yes.
But guys, they don't cry.
They bottle it up.
They don't talk. They just bottle it up, and before you know it, that tension is built up, and somebody's walking around like a time bomb waiting to explode. That's literally what it is.
That's what it is. And the corresponding thing in that stage one is that the tension creates fear. It creates fear on the children. It creates fear on the wife. Everybody's walking on pins and needles. You don't know what you will do, and he will explode or she will explode. There is tension, and the victim can become fearful. You are afraid. You want to go home, you don't know what he would say now. You don't know what long face you're going to make. You cook, he complains. You don't cook, he complains. You're quiet, he complains. You talk, some tension. You're not the problem, but you are at the receiving end of the problem.
Right.
So that's the first stage.
And then we go to the next stage again of the cycle. The next one is then an incident happens.
It finally explodes.
Remember, we already have tension. It's like a ball. That you inflated with a lot of air. And then a needle punches it, and all you hear is pop.
It explodes.
And sometimes those incidents may not be big deals. The incident that causes this.
Oh, no. Usually it's not the problem.
It's just an unfortunate situation that this tension has built up so much that this person cannot take it anymore. You see? And so, because that's what happens. And I know, ladies, men, you can attest to this. There are some times when you do something that your spouse reacts and you're wondering, is it because
of this?
These plates were in the sink overnight that my husband is reacting like this? Is it something else going on? The tension had been built before now. So it's not just this incident. It's just that this incident was just what was needed at the time of this build up to just let the air out. You see? So, but we always say nobody needs to be anybody's punch bag at any point in time.
Nothing justifies a beating.
Abuse, I don't care how it comes, it's never a way of showing love. There are so many ways you can show love to your spouse. You can go to downtown and buy some flowers. You can take them to the hotel or do something. But we are not going to show love through abuse. Now, viewers, this is wonderful. I mean, we got so much information on this. Got 2 more stages that we need to share. And we want you to hold on, hang tight, and stay tuned. We will be right back.
We've been talking about domestic violence in our community. If you or anyone that you know is going through domestic violence, is a victim, or even if you are having problem controlling yourself, call this number on the screen. There is help around. Don't wait until things escalate before you call. Call this number and we'll be able to help you manage the situation. God bless you.
Welcome, viewers. We're continuing on the second episode of our domestic violence discussion. And before we went on the quick break, we were talking about the cycle of domestic abuse. We talked about, the first cycle is, first stage of the cycle is a tension buildup, right? And then we talked about the second stage, being the incident. The explosion right there. So, honey, we're talking about after the explosion, the third stage of the cycle. What comes up is reconciliation. Somebody is very very sorry and very, I'm trying to find out that apologetic, remorseful, because after the blow up, when the reaction is like, why this? What did I do? This, and when we talk about that blow up is the stage of the beating, the hitting,
could be a back slap,
the back
right
slap, the talk down. That's actually when that abuse happens. The actual abuse happens at that incident. When that person can't take it anymore, they have to let out that steam. That's when that happens. But then, watch this. After that, this person has let off this tension.
A little bit.
A little bit. Even a little bit, a whole lot. Then they begin to catch themselves and they begin to apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hit you. I didn't mean, I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I will never, like all the words you said, I'll never do that again. Please.
I don't know what got over me.
I don't know what got over me.
Remember, I've never done this in our years of marriage.
And then they start, they pick you up. They try to pick you up. They even, if they hurt you, if they put wounds on you, they try to clean up the wound. They go get you the Band-Aid. They will tell you, don't say this, don't tell anyone. It was just a moment of weakness. They are very remorseful. They're so
and you really don't want to tell anyone
because
this is a family shame.
Yeah.
You are surprised about it as everyone. And in some cases, he's really remorseful because he really doesn't know what got over him.
Right.
But the tension has been building. He's not done this before. He's sorry. But sorry ain't cutting it.
Yeah.
Sorry ain't cutting it. And sometimes some people put some measures and say, dude, what are you going to do to reassure me that this is never going to happen again?
Right.
And he says, what do you want me to do? And
anything you want.
You name your price. But that price is not, some people say, well, if you ever do this again, I'm going to leave, and that's it. So that means you will be there for the next one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what is going to happen. You stay on that, and then, he keeps apologizing, doing everything, and then you guys find yourself on the fourth stage.
Yes.
And the fourth stage now of the cycle is, now you are forgiven, right? And now the place is calm. You go back to the honeymoon phase.
Yes.
You go back to honeymoon.
Everything is right.
Everything is calm. You begin to love on each other. You begin while you are nursing the wound. Or he's even helping you nurse the wound. He finally realized what he did. He's very remorseful. Now, both of you, he's not even wanting to touch you no more. He's not trying to beat you. He's trying to love on you. He feels that he needs to make up for what he has done. So he's, it's a honeymoon phase. You feel so loved again. You feel so wonderful again. Meanwhile, you are dealing with the wound. In fact, all this remorseful stage and honeymoon stage will happen if you, the woman, if you are still alive. Because at the point of stage 2 incident is when some people die.
Yes.
Talk about this.
Some people never make it out of the stage 2 incident. Right. And we have a lot of stories. But this is not a white man's problem. This is not an American problem. We have a lot of stories of Nigerians, of Africans, Sierra Leoneans, Senegalese, Ugandans, Ghanaians, all kinds of tribes, culture, ethnic people in church, people out of church that have gone through this. But a lot of people, the ones we hear about, is about the high-profile ones. The ones that are dead, the ones that don't make it. But the calming stage is the stage, if you're wise, that's when you really begin to think. You confirm to yourself that this is really domestic abuse. This is domestic. But here's what a lot of people do. They wait for the next cycle to start.
Because another cycle will.
Because another cycle will. We're going to go back to the tension. You're going to go back to that creating fear. You're going to go back to deflation and implosion and explosion. And the cycle continues and the pattern continues and people die. And as we're even on this, I'm going to read, I think we still have time, just one story that I have here. I've been really trying to collate a lot of stories of domestic abuse among people in the diaspora. People in the diaspora. I've read a little bit of stories, but I couldn't find one place that all the stories were summarized and kind of collected together until I read this guys, and I'm going to give him credit. His name is Abiodun Ladipo. I think he lives in Los Angeles. If you are the one, we give you credit for a fine job. This was published in Sahara about 2 years ago. And he kind of talked about those who have been made public. And one thing that he did, which I appreciated him for doing it, is he changed the name of the people. But these are real case scenarios. He just didn't use the right name. Another thing that he did, he made sure that he only talked about stories of people who were convicted. In other words, it's not a hearsay. It's not an allegation. These are things that actually went through the process of justice and the people are convicted. One of them is a guy he called David Ochola. David Ochola. He said that was the guy that killed his wife, went to his neighbor's house, called the police and said, yes, I have killed the woman that messed up my life, the woman that has destroyed me. I am at Shalom West. My name is David. I'm all yours. I'm all yours. This is a
in
man.
other words, he was ready to turn himself in.
He knew the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
He knew the consequences. He planned it. The tension built over a long period of time. And at the back of it is money, control of money. And we have so many stories. We have the gory ones about someone that tied up his wife, tied his wife to his truck, dragged his wife around the neighborhood until her skull exploded. And when you hear this thing, you say, are these Africans doing this? Yes.
Are these humans?
Are these humans? That's the first question.
Yeah.
And then the next question is, when did we get to this point? But that is the truth. We've gotten to this point because we live in a strange land. We live in a strange land, and we are coming with a lot of conflicts of culture against modernism, conflict of money, conflict of church, I believe, and faith. Because if you are from Nigeria, for instance, every religion, Muslim, Christianity, paganism, all of them encourage the woman to be submissive. Encourage the woman to stay, as my wife said, her mom taught her, to stay there even if you're being beaten. So what is the effect? The effect is that a lot of women stay, even when the signs are obvious. They hang in there, they keep their mouth shut, they don't tell anybody until it explodes. And we have a lot of stories, including those that happened in Houston here. But the calming effect is when we should really pause and say, what do I do?
Because, you know, the guys that have dragged their wives like that or killed the wives, remember the story we had about somebody just tied the wife to the ceiling fan and stuff like that. Those incidents, we're hearing them because, like you said, they have made
the headline.
But we want to let you know, if the truth is to be told, that was not that man's first attempt to abuse. And that's why these episodes are coming to you. Woman, if you are in these kind of relationships, there is help for you. You don't have to stay there and die. Now, are we encouraging you to divorce your spouse based on this? We're not encouraging you to, file a divorce. But what we're saying is, you need to remove yourself from harm's way. You don't have to be the next woman to be tied on the truck. You don't have to be the next woman to be hung on the ceiling fan. You don't have to be the next woman that will die and leave your children here.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, you have children to take care of. At the end of the day, you have kids that, at the end of the day, if you're not careful, other women, another woman will attempt to raise those children for you, and God knows how much. Your kids are at the mercy of somebody else. So what are we saying? We are not saying abandon the man, blah, blah, blah. What we're saying is find yourself a safe place.
Heaven, safe place. Leave.
Find yourself a safe place. Somebody's saying, is it biblical? Yes, it's biblical because God wants you to live. You got to leave. You will not die, but you will leave to declare the glory of God. If you're dead, you cannot declare the glory of God.
Yes.
You die when God says it's time for you to die. Not leave yourself in the hand of someone who is going to murder you, because that's what's going to happen. You see? So that's the thing. And when the man commits murder, guess what? You are dead as a woman. The man is in jail. The children are living like orphans.
And that's the worst part of it. We say that 10 million children are exposed to domestic abuse every year. The one that actually commits murder through it, or that break the law through it and go to jail, their children are actually the real victims.
Yeah.
Because the woman is dead, the man is in dead. In most cases, they get a life sentence or a death sentence. So in other words, they're not coming out soon. So the children end up suffering. Some become the wards of the state. Some are taken in by relatives. And before you know it, what started out that could have been stopped ends up ruining not just this family, but their children, and affecting the whole society. Viewers, as you can see, these are very heavy stuff that we are talking about. But it is very, very important that you recognize the cycle of deadly violence, the cycle of family violence, the threat, the action, and the stage of reconciliation. When you recognize them, it helps you to know, yes, I am being victimized. I need to take action.
I need to speak up.
I need to speak up.
I
need to take action. I need to do a lot of things to save myself. We will be right back. And as we're coming right back, I'm getting a sign from our producer. This is actually our time for today. But as I said, we have 4 episodes of this. This is the second one. We're going to be talking about the third one now. You need to listen to the whole episode so you get the full gist of it. If you're only going to pick up 1 or 2, you're just getting half of the story or 1/3 of the story. Join us next week as we come back. It's been a nice time. Thank you for watching, and from my wife.
Thank you, viewers, for being a part of the show. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. We've been talking about domestic violence in our community. If you or anyone that you know is going through domestic violence, is a victim, or even if you are having problem controlling yourself, call this number on the screen. There is help around. Don't wait until things escalate before you call. Call this number and we'll be able to help you manage the situation. God bless you.